Let's talk about how you know if your pelvic floor might be tight rather than weak and loose. It's really important that we know, because if you start doing Kegel exercises or squeezing exercises on top of a tight pelvic floor, you can make your symptoms a lot worse, or you start feeling worse. At the very lowest level, you don't see any improvements. So how might we know that our pelvic floor is tight? First thing to think about is what your bathroom or toilet habits are like. Do you have constipation? Do you feel that you really have to push down in order to get things going in the bathroom? That can be a sign that this back triangle of your pelvic floor is tight. And we also have to think about what's going on in this top front triangle. Now, a lot of people don't realize that going to the toilet can be a good indication for this as well. If you have to push to start to pee, or it takes you a couple of minutes after you've sat down before you can actually pee, then that muscle is tight and it needs those minutes to relax in order to open and let things out. So the other thing to think about is, do you have what we call second pee? And that means you think you're finished and you stand up, but no, you haven't. You have to sit down again and finish doing your pee. That can also be a sign of pelvic floor tightness. It puts a little bit of a kink in your urethra, which is the tube that comes down with your pee, and that means that you can't get complete emptying. If you are having pain with penetration with sex, that can be a sign that these inner pelvic floor muscles, those are holding tight, and that makes things really uncomfortable. If you are leaking, that is also a sign you might have a tight pelvic floor, because those muscles are held tight and then they have extra pressure when you cough or sneeze or jump, and they just can't do any more. So they cannot help stop the flow of urine. They're already working at maximum. Okay. So the other thing that can happen is if you feel that they're weak but you can't get a good contraction, again, those muscles are locked tight and they need to release in order to squeeze in again. So a lot of the times that this pelvic floor tightness can be tied in with SI joints. So these are the joints at the back of your hip here, pain with those, or pain in your hips because that pelvic floor is overworking and it's not stabilizing your hips properly. The other sign that your pelvic floor might be tight is if you're having problems getting a nice deep inhale. It's shallow, up in your chest, and you just can't seem to get that breath to come all the way down into your diaphragm and down, and you feel that you release in your hips. So if you're finding that you're having trouble getting your breath down, that can also be a sign that your pelvic floor is overworking and holding locked. So that means our first step is going to be wanting to release and relax your pelvic floor long before we look at if you need any strengthening.